Okay, so here we are. We've got our 3-bow Bimini top. What we've done is we've got our mount width on these 2x4s. We've determined where that is in relation to where we're going to put it on the boat. We've got fore and aft stays that we've balanced out. So we've measured forward, we've measured aft, we've measured up the pole on both sides, up the bow on both sides, and we've positioned them. This is my great friend David Elliott. He's going to show you a technique of roping the frame. Now this is an extremely important part of this whole Bimini design and patterning scenario. You must have your frames loaded. They must be rigid so that when you pattern them and you lean on them, and that always happens when you're patterning in awkward circumstances. So David, where are you going to start, mate? You got a piece of rope that we've prepared here.
Start with my rope system. It would normally be about a 1/4 inch pre-stretch rope. I'm going to loop it around the frame to have 5 on top is the most important part.
Starting at the rear bow or the primary bow?
Going to the centre frame. I'll do the same. We've got 5 on top. I'll go through to a single loop and then a bowline knot, if that's what we would call it.
That's a very nautical term to use.
So what the 5 wraps allows is me to tension or preload the frames, as Neil has spoken about, but still move the front frame.
David's putting a lot of pressure on this, and this is really, really important because your cover's going to do that. He's going to run a 1/2 hitch just to lock that off, and a clove hitch.
And then we'll do the same to the other side, and then readjust.
Very important. We look to make sure that the bows are in exactly the same spacings. We're looking for a rise from the front to the centre or the mid bow, and then again a drop down to the front bow or the secondary bow.
Single loop. Bowline. So I'll start to preload again.
That rear bow would have come up at a minimum 1 inch, would you say, Dave?
Easily.
Easily an inch, inch and a half?
Inch, if not more. I've tensioned it. I'll go back to this side and re-tension this side again, because at this point, as Neil said, we're starting to preload the rear and the front frame by bending them in. I'll now just check the tension on the ropes on both sides. This one's a little bit looser, so I'll go back and give it a little bit more tension.
Do we have a chord? Do we play a chord on it?
Yes, we do. Play a tune.
Very important process. Notice, you'll see this through the video, you'll see that rise. Very important. Our canvas needs water runoff.
Now I'm going to adjust it to create the correct rise that I would like.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for a pole width?
The width of the frame here above the front and rear.
Very important. That's through the radius, so just at the start of the radius, otherwise you're going to have a hollow in your cover that you don't want. You need tension on your frame, and you want your canvas to carry across the centre of the frame.
The one thing the 5 allows on top is for me to adjust this, but without it slipping as we're patterning. So I'm just eyeing through the top of this frame to the top of that frame and looking at daylight underneath here.
David's obviously far more experienced than most, and has an eye that can pick up a millimetre's difference. Probably a little stretch, but
And that frame is set for patterning.
that's the important thing. You must do this every time. You cannot go to the patterning until this is set and rigid. Now, that is not going to twist on us if any of us leans on it. And in a scenario when you're on a marina, chances are you may lose your balance and fall on it. This is not going to change through this method. It's a wonderful method. Congratulations, Dave. Now we'll go on to the patterning.